the mind is the greatest terrorist weapon ever invented. And yet, the mind originally is designed to reflect the spiritual world while we are having this, you might call, physical experience. So that we're always in touch with and present in the divine. And so, this thing about the mind then is because it's programmed, because we're receiving information in that sense, and it analyzes and does all of these kinds of things that in the divine are working in harmony then with our spiritual self. But when we're in the fear-based mind, you might say, that scarcity, that town of scarcity, and people are terrorized out of the fear of death, loss of body, loss of whatever they've identified with, money, beauty, strength, all of these things that are actually misidentifying ourselves with the physical body as ourselves, when we are spiritual, divine, eternal beings in a temporary changing experience. So the changes, that's interesting, that goes through certain changes in this outer reality. Now, what we want to do is, when you catch yourself having a thought of fear-based, scarcity, all of these kind of things, grudges, anger, all of this, look at this. Take a look at what thoughts you are thinking, and see, you're the observer, so you can observe your thoughts. See, that shows you you're not your thoughts. You're an observer of those thoughts. Now, those thoughts, you can ask yourself, well, where did that thought come from? Where did I get that thought? And why this is important is because thoughts create. It's like, it's energy. It's known that a thought has energy, and an energy is light in that sense. And so, of course, these are just words, but they're expressing somehow a process. And so that if our thoughts, what we're thinking and then feeling and then acting on and behaving, are based on war, conflict, duality, that means staying in a dual state when we are a trinity in a sense. We're not, but when we observe from the divine, we can watch the duality operate, but that becomes a reflection to us as to what our thoughts are, individually and collectively. Now, I can't handle the collective thoughts, but I could deal with mine. And that's it. We always want to tend to change the thoughts of others. Why? You have to look, why? What are you doing that for? You see, because you're a god. Now, people say, what does a god mean? No, it doesn't mean like the gods that we were talking about, ruling it over everybody, lording it over everybody, taking all the wealth, having all this, everybody else is miserable. This is ridiculous. But it means a spark of the divine. So that means whatever the divine is, we are. That's the way it is. And we have that free will. So we have the power of choice, either to choose to honor our inner self, our divine self, our God-being self, or honor the expression or the creation as our source, when we need to know the distinctions between ourselves and our creations and our thoughts. So when you have a thought, you take a look at where's that thought going, and you start following that thought. That thought could take you to hell. That thought could take you wherever, whoever, because that's the way it is, thoughts. And if you believe those thoughts and you feel those emotions that are coming from those thoughts and you visualize that, what are you doing? That's exactly how stuff happens, creation happens. So when you notice that and you don't want to go there, erase it. Say, no, I don't consent, gone. And then see that and look at that thought where that belief comes from. When you would even have that fear, scarcity based thought, was some kind of a belief deep down that there's not enough, that you're not good enough. There isn't enough. Enough love, enough happiness, enough life. That's a lie. And you need to know the difference between what's true and works for you and what's false. And the false is win-lose. Because we're already, when people say, nobody's perfect, that's a lie. You're all perfect, whole, complete, in every way. And that God being is kind and loving and generous and full of compassionate love. And when other people have their issues or their things going on, and it's like, instead of reacting or changing who you are, those are times to amplify the compassionate love in your heart and realize everybody's been damaged mentally, been like hypnotized in forgetfulness. You have to understand that. See? And have that underlying compassionate love all the time and be an example of it. Instead of saying, well, they don't do this and they don't do that, and that really, what's the deal? What are my values? You might say ideals, or what ideals do I? Then I must have those values and ideas because I feel that that's the best I could do for myself, and also the best I could do for others, because that's what compassionate love is. And see who gets the benefit, even if no one else wants it. You do. Because you're feeling good. Feeling good. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Feeling good. Feelings, nothing more than feelings. Dime, solamente dime. Yeah, feelings. Feeling good. Because you are good. Precious.